Hi, my name's Tom Blake, and I am the listing specialist on the Homes Just For You team with RE/MAX Liberty. And this...
I'm Brianna Kelly with Total Mortgage. I'm the branch manager of the Leominster office.
And our goal today is to review the local market and try to give you some good, solid advice on what this real estate market looks like truly to purchase and sell in at the moment. So with that, we're going to start with a review of where the Leominster market truly is at the moment. Despite what you may have heard on the news, things are still very hot and heavy in the local market.
They are.
It is still deeply, deeply a seller's market here. So one of the things that we've talked about in previous videos is the absorption rate and what exactly makes a seller's market versus a buyer's market. So 6 months worth of inventory is a balanced market. And at the moment, what we have in Leominster is 0.75 months worth of inventory, less than a month's worth of inventory. To be very specific, that number is, let's make sure I know it. We have, it's happened again, 18 homes for sale in Leominster. Before we did this video, we looked at that number. It was 19, which means one of them got sold in the last hour. We were talking. Okay, so actually that lightens it quite a bit. So yes, it is a very fast-paced market right now. So again, key details. So 0.75 months worth of inventory is what we have in Leominster at the moment. The list to sold price. So it's 104.6%. What that means to you is if you're selling your house for $100,000, it's as an asking price, chances are, because people are bidding up that number, it's going to sell for about $105,000. The median days in Realtor Property Resource, which is a resource that I use to analyze the market, says about 16 days. That means the average house in Leominster at the moment is going to sell in less than 3 weeks. And the median sold price is $444,000. That is a pretty big jump for where it would have otherwise been not too long ago. So if we were to look 1 year ago, it would have been, oh, nope, sorry, 346,000. That's a pretty big change.
That's a big jump.
So that is the state of the market at the moment here. It is moving really fast. It's actually, since we've started doing these videos, it's actually gotten hotter. You know, people were projecting, people meaning the general media, were projecting that, you know, maybe we'd have a lot of foreclosures come to the market, or maybe the inventory would come back, or maybe the prices for rates would come down, and that would loosen up the market. If anything, the market's tightened in the last 3 months. So with that, I think we're going to talk, Bree is going to talk about the rate environment at the moment. So
absolutely.
Take it away, Bree.
So, you know, a lot of the speculation and a lot of market experts kept saying that they thought the rates would start to come down or at least level out. Unfortunately, in this rate market, we've been seeing the opposite. So some of the data that we had was the 30-year average rate right now is at 7.58%. There's a lot of factors that go into that, but that is definitely higher than it was a week ago. We're talking about the rates, they said, we'll say even a month ago was probably 0.5% lower than that. So we're definitely seeing a quick increase in rate again. That also limits your budget, which is something, again, you know, for me, talked about that before. This one of the most important things that you need to have a conversation about, because a year ago, if your rate was in the mid sixes, for example, you probably qualified maybe for, you know, $50,000 more, and you want to make sure that you're kind of keeping all of that things in consideration. So, for example, right now, one of the houses that we had listed was there's a property. It's listed for $430,000, which is on the lower end of what's listed for sale in Leominster right now.
Yeah.
So
yeah, actually, okay. So this is a good place to start. So we're throwing a bunch of numbers at you right now, and you said the first thing that probably is going through your head is, what the hell does that mean to me? So what we wanted to do was we wanted to do a case study of something. So we took a live snapshot of what was available in Leominster. So at the beginning of the video, I said 18 homes are available for sale, and the least expensive home in Leominster that's available is $355,000. It's a fairly distressed home.
It is.
So it's $355,000 to buy the home, but you're going to need to do $80,000 to $100,000 worth of work with it for it, right? So if we go down a few out of the 18, the least expensive home that's move-in ready is 488 Merriam Ave. It is currently listed for $429,900 or $430,000. So and it's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath house that is 1,900 square feet. So it's big enough for, 4 or 5 people to live in. It's comfortably. It's a good median home in Leominster. So we talked about there being 0.75 months worth of inventory, right? So this house is going to go off the market just like that. It's going to be gone. By next week, it's not going to be on here, all right? And we said houses were selling for about 104.7% of what the asking price was.
Right.
That means this house is most likely going to sell for, statistically, around $447,000.
Correct.
Not $430,000.
Right.
So that's what the market means. Analyzing the market from a realtor standpoint means to me. What does that mean to you as a loan officer?
Absolutely. So when we start running your pre-approval numbers, we have a conversation about, okay, well, you know what your max budget is. If you're looking at houses that are 430, you need to be prepared to be offering over that. So that changes your budget. Now you're really at 450. So if you know your max amount that you're looking to purchase is really 430, then you're probably looking at houses around 400,000 because you know that the houses are selling above what the list price is.
Yep.
So one of the big conversations, and we're going to use this particular property as an example based on the current market environment. We'll talk about taxes and insurance, and we're going to say a first-time home buyer, 3% down. The rate, and I'm going to use 7.375 with no points for an interest rate, and that really puts your payment around $3,700, and that's using taxes at $5,600 a year, homeowners insurance at $1,200 a year, and then PMI about $240 a month. And again, there's a lot of other factors that go into that, but meaning what your credit score is and how much you're willing to put down. But a first-time home buyer at 3% down, you do need to be in a position where you can afford a payment that's $3,700 a month, because you have other costs associated with that too. Now you got to heat it.
Yeah, it's not just about the rent, right? This was a big part of the conversation just before we went on camera. Was like, what can you really afford?
True.
And our goal here is to help you understand what it takes to actually buy a house. So what's 3%? What are we looking at for closing costs?
So 3%, if you're going up to the 447 number, you're talking about $16,000. That's not including closing costs and prepaids, which is approximately another $10,000. Now, closing costs and prepaids include, appraisals, attorney fees, your first year of homeowners insurance, you're setting up your escrow for your taxes, prepaid interest, which is depending when you close during the month. But I always tell people, you pay at the end of the month. It's pay me now, pay me later. You pay from the day you own the house. Yep. So, and that, we want to make sure we're covering if, hey, listen, you need to make sure there's oil in the tank if there's oil on that particular property and things like that. So there's so much more encompassing in that. So now that $430,000 house that really is going to sell for almost $450,000, or the assumption is.
Yep, most likely.
Yep, you're going to be needing to get into that house about $26,000. You also don't want to keep yourself completely now house poor because now you've used all of your savings. So you want to start having conversations about, okay, well, I know that I have $30,000 saved. And do I really, if I only have $4,000 left, is that going to be really enough?
Yep.
And it's a really important conversation. So you really want to be laying those budget numbers out, because guess what? If you want to be able to go out to eat, you want to go on vacation, same thing in those budgets. Very, very important.
Yeah, preparation is absolutely key if you want to buy a house, or if you want to. So a lot of the customers that I work with, they're selling a home and then they're looking to buy a home, right? So there's some pretty tough reality to that right now too, because a lot of sellers at the moment are sitting on the home that they've been in for, who knows, 8 to 30 years or whatever it is.
Depending, right?
And they've got a very different picture of the market than what it is right now.
Even from a couple years ago.
Yeah,
the
even
market
from a couple of
shifted.
years ago, right? So that you want to downsize into a ranch right now, so you own your colonial that's 2,000 or 2,500 square feet or whatever it otherwise is, and you've got a 3% mortgage, because that's what everybody did. Maybe
That's
it's
right.
better than that right now.
Yeah.
And you don't owe a whole lot of money on that house, and you've got, hopefully you kept the equity in the house. Hopefully you didn't leverage that to the hilt, but that's another conversation. And but you could be, if you're buying a home, a small home, it's
Right.
$350,000 to $400,000
Right.
for a turnkey move-in ready
Right.
home, and you're looking at a $3,000 to $4,000 payment to move into that home if you're not putting a significant amount down.
Right, and it's about $7 for every $1,000, not including taxes and insurance. So for 100, so say that you do have a decent amount of money to put down, and you only need to finance maybe $200,000. Well,
Okay.
that's still a $1,400 a month for principal and interest payment, but that's not including the taxes and insurance. And one of the things that I've been hearing from all of my insurance agents right now is insurance is going up substantially. You've seen a lot of the wildfires and floods and everything that's been happening, and that's obviously that's passed on to the consumer.
Yep.
So we're seeing increases in insurance premiums. So right now you have a house that might be paying $1,200, it might be $1,600, and I can attest to that. My insurance just went up, and my agent's really great at shopping the different carriers. But a lot of them, I heard a rumor, well, it's not a rumor, it's actually official, but Geico is trying to get out of Massachusetts because of the premiums.
Really? No kidding.
Yeah.
Because they're too expensive, or because there's just too many claims?
Well, too many claims, and I think they wanted to do a price increase, and Massachusetts was
kidding.
like, no go. So they were like,
consumer safe. It's like they were looking out for the consumer.
yeah.
Okay.
So, but that's what the type of, you're hearing companies that we usually hear, bargain prices or whatever, that they can't offer those. They can't sustain that payout. So if, they're collecting $100,000 but paying at $120,000, well, you can't run a business that way. So,
right.
So that's something to keep in mind, because now you're not talking about, well, your payment's $3,700. Well, what happens if the taxes and the insurance increase? Yes, if you're on a 30-year fix, the only thing, your principal and interest can't change, but your taxes and insurance can. So those are the things you want to make sure that you're having conversations and understanding how the mortgage works.
We see that as a potential change too from the realty side. At some point the towns are going to say, hey, all our assessed values, so our costs have all gone up too.
Right.
We're going to need more money for our tax roll. That turns into your assessed value, which is how much you're going to pay per year for taxes, right?
It is.
So that 5625 that we were talking about for 448 Merriam is actually based on a valuation, I think, of somewhere in the 335,000 range or something like that.
Yep.
So if the town decides one day, hey, it's really worth what it sold for, now all of a sudden you're going to get that tax rate. It's going to go through the roof. You're going to have to pay that, whether you like it or not.
A couple extra $100 a month. Usually they'll do it in smaller increments, but I've been doing this for a long time, and I do remember when all of the assessments were done in the local area. This was probably about 10 years ago, and there were substantial increases in people's taxes. It just happened in Lunenburg.
Yeah, I was just going to say Lunenburg. So go ahead, that's a great case study, right? Go ahead, talk about Lunenburg for a second. Right?
So Lunenburg went around, especially around the houses around the lake, which are those are higher priced homes to begin with. They went ahead and literally increased people's taxes. I'm talking, I had people that had $4,000 a year increases, and it's, oh my gosh. But you got people that are on fixed incomes in these houses, or, listen, maybe I don't have a mortgage payment on it, but I still got to pay my taxes.
Well, they bought it 50 years ago, or they inherited it, from their family or something like that.
And it's just, you've got some people that I know that were selling those houses because they were like, I'm also not, the taxes aren't worth what the costs are, but it's just important. It's a budget conversation. It's a realistic conversation. The cost of everything is going up.
It's changed. So when we go to make these videos, we're looking for a way to bring value that like real value. So one of the things that realtors you might hear a realtor say is, rents are going up, so it makes more sense to buy a house. Well, one of the reasons we're talking about what the reality is, and by the way, Bray, how many loans a year does your company do?
Gosh, 600, 700. I mean.
Okay, so in the local area, let's be clear about who we're talking to right now. So her company does 600 or 700 loans right in this area, right?
Yep.
So that's a lot of loans. So she is an expert.
See,
if anybody would know,
if
anyone would know about the local area, it would be Bree and her team. So she would know about things like maybe the insurance going up, because if anyone was shopping for insurance and would know about it, that would be you, right?
Yep.
So you were seeing all these costs in real time go up.
Correct.
But the conversation that we had before this was, what does it cost to rent?
Right.
Well, actually, a 3-bedroom apartment in Leominster right now, the median price for that is $1,750. So, but there's only one of them. There's only one of them available right now.
Same thing, inventory.
So
craziness.
So that rent is definitely, it's expensive just to rent, but you really you do have to prepare if you want to buy a home.
Right. So you got to look at the pros versus the con. I mean, you're never going to lose by owning property.
Nope.
You're in an equity position. Typically, it's an asset to you. You're not paying someone else's mortgage.
Nope.
There's a lot of pros to it, but you also need to understand what the other side of that is. So yeah, you could pay $1,750 for rent. You're paying someone else's mortgage, but you don't have to necessarily worry about some additional expenses. And especially if a $3,700 a month payment, that's a substantial amount of money. So you do have to look at both sides of that coin.
You really do.
And listen, historically, the rates have kind of up and down, up and down. They really keep saying, and this has been a consistent message, that they do feel the rates are going to come down first and second quarter next year. Again, we'll see.
Marry the house, date the rate.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, but I never want to have someone also in a position where they are looking to purchase a home where they're just going to be like, well, I'm going to refinance. There's no guarantees that you can refinance.
Yeah, there really isn't. There's nothing saying they're going to come back right now.
And what happens if something changes in your financial position? And I tell people, I'm like, buyer beware. Understand what you're getting into. Pros, cons, ups, downs. Again, owning real estate is always, I feel, is always a positive thing. I've never really seen many people be like, oh man, I really wish I didn't buy my house.
No. So real estate has been the basis for wealth building in my family.
Yeah.
I couldn't be a real estate agent if I didn't believe in it, right? So there is still a way to get you into the home of your dreams. You just got to prepare for it, and that's why we're here. We want to help people make good financial decisions.
Right.
We don't want somebody to be house poor. But go ahead.
No, I was going to say, but I think the difference is we're going to have real conversations. We're going to tell you the truth about stuff. I mean, we don't want to be like, oh yeah, renting is horrible. You want to buy a house, but not telling you what the difference in the payments are.
Yeah.
But giving you real market data, understanding what's available to you right now. And again, this is a snapshot in time. It's been a pretty consistent snapshot from the last few videos that we've done, but.
Yeah, we're definitely taking a granulated look at the market on purpose to try to share it with you. So that 430 house, right? So that's really going to be in demand. Okay, of those 18 houses that are for sale at the moment, that jumps to 535 right after that. It's a $100,000 jump. So we only have 3 houses that are below 430 right now. 2 of them are distressed.
Right.
So to move into Leominster right now, it's $550 for a 4-bedroom, 2-bath. That's 2,400 square feet. Next one is $560 for a 1,600 square foot house that's 3-bedroom, 2-bath. It's a young one though, so it's built in 1996.
It's around the corner for me. I live in Leominster, so yeah.
And then it kind of go, then we've got 580, 589, 594, 675, 699, 699, 750, so
yeah,
we're talking about an entry-level house in Leominster at 430. This is reality right now.
And I mean, the thing is, I know we've been using Leominster kind of as our consistent basis point, but I can assure you, we can pull any of the towns surrounding. The market data is about the same. And some of the other towns like Air, Shirley, Harvard, all those, there's even less inventory. So it's definitely something that we've been trying to be consistent with the message, because we know what those inventory numbers look like. So
And to her point, Air, 0.65 months worth of inventory right now. Theirs, interestingly, is a list to sold price of 100.6, which is down a little bit, and their median time in on market is about 21 days. So, unbelievably, that could be considered moderating, I guess, at this point, but that's not really moderating. And their median estimated value is 525.
yeah.
You know, so it's almost $100,000 more, you know, to live in Air, which is not that far from us.
Nope.
Fascinating. So, I think that will about do it for me for
Yeah.
today. I think that's a good amount of data for somebody to look at.
Absolutely. So just